There was some, yes, from there.
Okay. Teruvan Sarna, everybody. Today's discussion will be on Samma Samadhi and the road to Samma Samadhi. So this is a topic I'm also not too familiar with. So Vihangunaya will be leading the major part of this discussion. But we all know, for those of you who don't know, Samma Samadhi is the last step when it comes to the Noble Eightfold Path. Starting from Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa. You can check more in the Noble Eightfold Path channel in Dhamma Trips. But Samma Samadhi is the last step, which and what exactly? So what will be what we will be getting into this topic is what exactly is Samma Samadhi and how important is Samma Samadhi. And really how can we develop it and use it to do our vipassana or vidarshana meditation. Yes, Vingunai, I think you can start.
There was some to everyone. As Usita rightly said, Samma Samadhi is a milestone or a place in the Noble Eightfold Path. So I'll just give a background onto this. So when a Buddha get enlightened, so Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta is the first Deshana, which is the foremost Deshana in the Buddha Sasana. And there Lord Buddha mentions about the Four Noble Truths. So in Four Noble Truths, the fourth truth, the path, the noble path to eliminate suffering. So that path, starting from Samma Ditti, it goes as Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, and Samma Samadhi. So in Satchavimagga Sutta, Sariyuttero describes in a very lengthy way about this Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta and the Four Noble Eightfold Paths, the Sangha. So we can see how from Samadhi to Samma Samadhi is being explained. So if you really take Samma Samadhi is very cool. If you take Saptabojjhanga or the Seven Bojjhanga or the Noble Eightfold Path or any other sutta, this Samadhi, Samma Samadhi becomes a mandatory part. Actually, it's almost it's mandatory to have a Samma Samadhi Chitta to observe the world in the exact way that we see. So we see that in day-to-day world, we see the world. It's like this, right? So you are like someone who can't see the profiles are not fine-tuned. Let's say it's bloated, right? So your view to the world is bloated. So it's like that. A Pruthakjana would be having an eye like that. That's why he don't have the Sammaditthi. So it's like when you have Sammaditthi and then you start working. So you become to have the Samma Samadhi Chitta. So it's something like you have so there are several Samadhis. So I will explain that. So Samadhi of a thief or a normal person is also a Samadhi, because there are a lot of Anarya Samadhi. For example, if you concentrate on a music or a song, that is also a Samadhi, but it's not a Samma Samadhi. But when you concentrate about Nibbana or not becoming or Kusal Chitta of eliminating the Bhava cycle, so then it becomes a Samma Samadhi. So it's really important to have Samma Ditti first. So this Samma Ditti would take you to Samma Samadhi Chitta. So it's the
Sorry to
system.
interrupt, but
Yeah.
Just to add to that, I think if we can also define for those of them who are not very familiar with the Pali words of Samma Ditti and
Hmm.
Samma like Samadhi and Ditti, just to explain a bit more on what exactly this word Samadhi means, because I've seen different people in different circles giving different translations to it, like one would be relaxation, it's this kind of relaxation. Others would say no, it's not relaxation, it's concentration. So
Hmm.
what exactly, I mean, what is the sense we should get when we think of the word samadhi here?
Yeah, samadhi is the if you take a normal samadhi, it's the uh, if your mind is constantly being at one place, right? And it's like, if you technically describe it, it's like, so I'll explain it. So there are three samadhis in Shasana. You you are told that. So there are three types of samadhi, right? So one is shanika samadhi. Shanika samadhi is a instant samadhi. It's like your mind gets into a certain you think that your mind would not deviate, right? Your mind get into a certain one, you call it aramunu. Aramunu is what do you call it in English?
Like one pointedness, one concentration, okay, one, like you keep your mind to one thing, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, only one thought, right? Like only one thought. Your mind, because it's not practically possible to be done if you don't have samadhi, right? So generally, mind would have different thoughts, right? Different points, right? But if you have a one point keeping throughout the time, that is called samadhi. So that's normally called samadhi. But in Buddhism, there are three samadhis. One is shanika samadhi, shana samadhi. That is, for a particular given moment, you will have a uh, uh, kusal chitta, or a chitta to nibbana for a given particular small period. Upachara samadhi, the second one, is a constantly behaved chitta in one particular point for a longer period. Uh, you mean when you think about the love and kind meditation, or Buddhaguna, or like the Buddha characteristics, so it becomes a little bit more, and it's coming and going, but it would stay for more time. It would not instantaneous samadhi. But Arpana Samadhi is the third one, is like the Samapatti. You go to a certain Samadhi, and it becomes long term. Your the other five gates, the eye, the ear, the nose, the touch, and the tongue. So those five gates would get almost closed, so that your mind will only work there. So if you take in Abhidharma, in your Chitta Viti Manodwara, or the mind gate will only operate at the Arpana Samadhi. In the Arpana Samadhi, you would not get things from your eye, or hearing, or something like that, right? So it would only be from your mind. So these are three types of samadhi explained in Buddhism. So so the important thing is that we need to understand the Samma Samadhi that we mention here is that if you have a Kusal Chitta, or a Upekka, or say a Chitta which is taken away from the world, or the requirement to be in the world, or to generate something, or anything in this 31 realms, you get your mind away from that, right? So to nibbana, or to say like what do you call nekkhamma, you call it, you get away from that, right? Like nothing in grasping. So in that chitta, if you can be constant for a given period, that is called samadhi. That is called samma samadhi. so generally, if someone has done dhyana, yeah,
Is it okay if I interrupt and ask small
yeah,
questions?
definitely,
Because
should,
uh,
because it's important to, because it's a topic that is little bit difficult to explain. It's important to ask questions. Yeah.
what do you mean by nekkamma here?
Yeah, Nekkhamma is if you take Samma Sankappa, there are three, right? So Kama Sankalpana is a it's a Micha Sankappa. Micha in the sense like it's a normal world being would be having Kama Sankalpana, right? To get attached to get
The
grasp
world.
things in the world, right? So Nekkhamma is the opposite of Kama Sankappa. It's like not grasping, getting away from that. Like you, nekam is like in Sinhala it said nickname, or like you get away from the worldly things, like worldly things, materialistic things, the grasping, the kama stuff, right? The kama
Okay.
tanha part, or the kama sankalpana part. The opposite of kama sankalpana is the kama sankalpana.
But is it necessarily towards nirvana?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
In the sense, like nirvana is that, right? Like there's nothing called towards nirvana. It's like getting away from the world is itself nirvana, right? Nirvana,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you are going away from kama sankalpana, it's definitely towards nirvana.
Okay, that was clear.
All right. Okay. So here the important thing is that we need to know that is that the samma samadhi, or the consistent chitta, or the consistent state of mind which is there towards a kusal chitta, or towards nirvana, right? So if you can have a consistent chitta in the samadhi state, in samadhi it is being explained like if someone has done jhana, so it's described in Satchavibhanga Sutta about this. So it's particularly about these two Upachara Samadhi and the Arpana Samadhi. The second one and the third one. It's mainly about these two, which is I think which is mentioned in the Satchavibhanga Sutta. It's about the noble first jhana, noble second jhana, noble third jhana, and noble fourth jhana. So I think if there's someone who's listening to this who have done jhana, they would have experienced this. I will just explain that part also. In noble jhanas, it is mentioned that at the first point, you like someone who has done, who has known about Dhamma and who has got the basic concept of Dhamma and understood it, would then get away from akusal first, right? And then at that point, you get your mind away from akusal, your mind away from kama, kama concepts, right? Grasping concepts. So you get those things away, and then you will come to a jhana state with a mind or a idea or a chitta which should be resulting preeti and sukha. So this preeti and sukha, a chitta, like a samadhi with a chitta with preeti, the happiness, the inner happiness, the bliss, and the sukha. Sukha is the comfort of your body and mind. So if you have these two, and with a savitakka savichara, like this can be a little bit tricky if someone is not familiar to jhanas. So if so, I think we can have a discussion on how to do Arya jhanas, because it is being said in Satchavibhanga Sutta. It has been said that this when you describe Samma Samadhi, it is what been discussed as Samma Samadhi, the Arya jhanas. So I will come to that. So the main part of Samma Samadhi is explained in most parts with this preeti state of mind, with this sukha state of mind. So when you sit, or when you go to a meditation, and when you get away from akusal chitta, get away from kama chitta, and you have the leisurely time, and then you start thinking about a kamatahan. Kamatahan is a like praise or a word or a poem or whatever, which is concisely including the nirvana or the ending of bhava, right? So if you have a concept like this, and when you start doing meditation, your mind slowly start understanding the real nature, and your heart will slowly starting to feel the bliss, the happiness, the preeti, and your mind slowly starts to have the sukha or the comfort or the pasadi. It's like your mind starts melting, right? So your it's really hard to explain in these words, but your mind would start softening. Your mind would start with preeti, and then your mind would become like a sponge, right? It can then absorb Dhamma or the real prajna, right? Your mind, your in these jhanas, your mind becomes very blissful in the first jhana. Your mind becomes comforting, and then slowly you understand in Arya jhanas, you slowly understand the nature of this bliss also, nature of this comfort also. It is also paticca samuppanna. It's like it's also coming from a cause. It's an effect of a cause. Then you understand this is also because of it, because this cause is from because this effect is from a cause. You understand this is not valuable for me to cling into. You don't grasp it. You don't you don't deal it with more, right? So then you understand the real state of this bliss, real state of this comfort. Then you, when you think about that, you slowly let go that bliss also. You slowly let go that comfort also. Then your mind slowly goes away from this even the kamatahan, even the savitaka savichara, the nature of mind taking that particular concept or the praise, and then the bliss, then the comfort, the sukha, you let them go also. So then your mind becomes very light, very light. In the likewise in from first jhana to second jhana to third jhana to fourth jhana, you go by letting go vitakka vichara, which is the nature of taking the aramunu or the point, and then the blissfulness, and then the sukha, the comfort. You let go them, and your mind becomes into the fourth jhana, fourth noble jhana. So in either of these four jhanas, you can you can be in samma samadhi, right? So this samadhi could be a upachara samadhi or a arpana samadhi. It's a long term samadhi that you are in, where your mind becomes very soft, very absorbable. Your mind slowly starts opening the prajna eye. So this samadhi, you start with a karmasthana or a kamatahan or a concept towards nirvana, toward understanding aswada adino nissarana, like the nature of the real world. Then you slowly start feeling this bliss, and then you slowly start feeling this comfort. When you understand this, the sort of bliss and comfort, you let go that also. In either of these state of mind, you are being said that you are in a samadhi state, in a samma samadhi state, right? So in this samma samadhi state, so actually this samma samadhi state of your chitta or the mind is the exact thing that you was willing to have in throughout your path, right? So by doing the rituals, by doing the Shila, the five noble precepts, noble in sense like five precepts, or the 8 precepts, or 10 precepts, whatever. So by doing dana, by giving dana, by doing bhavana, by doing any paramita, by doing any punyakriya, the merits. So whatever, all the things you did to come to understand these four noble truths, in that also, when you understand the first, like the dukkha noble truth and the samudaya noble truth, so this is the most next, like then it becomes into this path, right? So in this path, you do Samma Ditti, so like you become to the Samma Ditti to a certain extent, and then you slowly building this Shila through Samma Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, you build your Shila. So then this Samadhi is the exact thing, the exact platform, the exact tool that you want to explore your mind, right? So this Samadhi, up to this Samadhi, you can set this stage, set this drama, set this context, set this atmosphere to grasp the prajna knowledge, like the prajna understanding, to grasp the vidarshana. So it has been said that either through samatha or either through vipassana, this samadhi state needs to be achieved, right? It's it's mandatory to have the samma samadhi path, right? So when you do all the other things, like we might not discuss in this call about the predecessor, or the previous Upanishad Sutta, if you take Chetana Karniya Sutta, if you take Bojjanga, so each and every of these would mention what would be the predecessors to this samadhi, what kind of practices would lead to this samadhi. For example, Shila. Shila is a core thing. The Kushala Shila is a core thing which would yield in samadhi. Shraddha coming through the real understanding. The Shraddha, it's not the Shraddha that you get in blind, but the Shraddha that you get through understanding the Dhamma, which is the Shraddha which cannot be moved. That Shraddha is definitely a predecessor or a cause to have the Samadhi effect. Likewise, if you can read some of these sutta also, you will find a lot of very insightful paths leading to samadhi. To have the correct ditti, the samma ditti, and to have the correct sila pratipada, and to have the sati, and to have the shraddha, which is coming through the understanding, and to go away from sins, to go away from akusals, and then your mind becomes without regression, without regret. Your mind becomes very peaceful. Your mind becomes blissful. Your mind becomes comforting. So those are the predecessors or the causes that can yield in a samadhi chitta. So that is really important. When we discuss about samadhi, it's not only the samadhi that we have to discuss. It's really important to know how the samadhi is obtained. Maybe in a previous discussion also we discussed about this in a very brief way. But
we touched it, but we never really. I don't know if we went. But I think up to a certain extent we have gone in different talks, but not in one
but
talk
not directly
separately. Yeah.
Okay, so if you really take it, maybe I can explain that part a little bit more, because if someone needs to come to there, I think it's more important than to discuss about samadhi, to discuss about the path that you can come to the samadhi, right? So maybe I can discuss using one certain example, right? So if you take I'll take one sutta just for your reference, right? So I will take this Chetana Karni Sutta, right? So Chetana Karni Sutta, it is being said that the correct Shila or the Kusala Shila. So please stop me if you don't understand any of these words, because these were alien to me. I'm sure for most of you listening to this, these words can be alien. But I think the most important thing in this Dhamma is that you have this core requirement or the most important thing to eliminate dukkha, right? So if you have to eliminate dukkha at any cost, you will have to understand these things. So if there's anything, I think I'm suggesting that don't hesitate anytime. Please raise hand and just ask, because it's really important to have this. I think this samadhi discussion uh, is very important. If you can come to this samadhi chitta and just be there, opening your eyes in your world, that itself can yield you nirvana. So that's why if you don't understand any of these words, just ask. So I will try to explain, because I might not be very conversant into converting this into uh, words through English to explain in the best possible way. But I'll try my best to explain this predecessor path to samadhi through one of these sutta. Maybe we can do certain other paths also to samadhi in a different call, but I'll do it in one way. But just stop me if you don't understand it, right? So it has been said that if you have the kusala shila, or the shila, right? The shila, the correct shila, shila pratipada, the shila process, then uh, going away from regression, it has been said that going away from regression is a result, is a effect of the correct Shila. That is correct, right? If you have a Shila, you don't do any akusal, right? You start practicing these kind of things, not as a recital or not as a precept, right? Like if you by understanding, by samma ditti, you go away from akusal, then your life becomes very good, right? Like you don't hurt people, you don't you don't steal anything. Likewise, you don't do any bad things to the world, so your mind becomes very peaceful and very blissful. Uh, Before blissful, it becomes you don't regret. Your mind is not regretting. So it has been said that if you have the correct Shila, uh, non-regression or going away from regression is a effect, right? Then it is said that when you have that non-regression or the uh, going away from regret, then your mind becomes pramodya. Pramodya is it's like a very how do I explain it? It's kind of a bliss, but it's a lighter version of happiness or a bliss, right? It's a just a very calming kind of a state of mind, which is pramodya. Then, if you have pramodya, then it becomes the preeti becomes a effect of that cause. So, preeti is the blissfulness of your mind. Preeti is the happiness of your mind. So, your mind becomes very happy. Your mind becomes very blissful because you have a very nice past with correct Shila coming through the Sammaditya. Obviously, it's not the Shila that you think about obtaining in the morning and obtaining, going away at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock. It's not that Shila particularly, but it can start from that also. But the correct Shila Pratipada, it can give you the bliss, the happiness. So then when you have this happiness, then it has been said that you will have the Passaddi. Passaddi is the comforting, the lightness of your body and mind. Your mind becomes very very light, very calming, very comforting, right? So this kind of state you become, and then becomes sukha. Sukha is actually the comfortness. So Passaddi yields in sukha, and then that sukha will yield in samadhi, right? So you can now maybe if you don't get that understanding of the samadhi word, maybe you can now get a state that through this process you start building the shila, start building going away from regression. It is called abhipratisara in Pali, and then it becomes pramodya, then it becomes preeti, and then it becomes passaddi, becomes sukha. Sukha, the state of mind of sukha will yield in a samadhi chitta or a consistent kusala chitta or consistent upeka or like consistent kusala chitta, keeping throughout the time. It can be a shana samadhi, it can be a upachara samadhi, it can be a arpana samadhi, which is being kept for minutes or hours or days, even like upachar, arpana samadhi can even yield to 7 days. So that's how strong it is, because in arpana samadhi, your mind would not take any aramunu or any inputs from the other gates, right? It's only the manodwara. It's only the mind gate. So your mind
I,
gate start. Yeah,
does that mean like they are in sitting meditation while you are in the
yeah,
third
probably.
samadhi?
Arpana, I, from what I know and I experience is that probably this kind of samapatti. I don't know theoretically how whether that is not
Because
probably it could be impossible, right? Because if you start
yeah,
walking,
how
you
can
will
you get,
have
yeah, you have
yeah,
inputs
probably.
from the outside, yeah.
Yeah, probably it should be only be sitting, right? Maybe I don't know whether by sleeping it can be like the posture can be different, right? Like maybe even in sleep someone can obtain. I don't know, but it's the idea is that you don't get like you close your eyes. Like probably that would be like to go to samapatti. I probably think that at least sitting or sleeping kind of a posture would be needed. I think, but the idea
Mm.
is that you not get in a arpana samadhi or the samapatti, your mind gate will only operate.
Yeah, and the other question I had was like we described these three different types of samadhi and all. How does one know like they are in this kind of samadhi? Could there be like instances where they are in like a samadhi and they don't even know they're in a samadhi, or
Yeah,
do they like feel, do they like completely, are they always aware that they are in a samadhi?
I think it's a little bit difficult to one to notice whether that person is in a shana samadhi, right? So because it's a instantaneous one, but I think the closest the characteristics that I think is explainable is these lakshana or the characteristics of preeti or the sukha or the upeksha of a concerned nature. If you like, for example, most of you might have, even in this call, if someone is even listening to this dhamma, and if someone is feeling a very preeti or a pleasantness of your mind, like which is probably can be sometimes it's unexplainable, right? Like why this is coming, but your mind is becoming melting kind of nature. Because if you pass an exam, you know, because you know the result, you are getting this preeti, right? It's like in samadhi, if you can think that if you can just check whether your mind is in a constant nature which is not deviating here and there, your mind is not going wayward, your mind is in a very maybe in a preeti nature, maybe in a pasadi nature, maybe in a comforting nature, even without them there can be upeka is even better, right? Like upeka sama like the fourth jhana is so these jhana angas are not maybe directly not the samadhi angas, but they are a subset of that, right? So they are inside that. So if you have a consistent mind keeping for a seconds or a minute or some time with without any other thoughts, lot of other thoughts, with preeti kind of a mind, with sukha kind of a mind, with the upeka kind of a mind, probably you are in some samadhi. So that uh, so that you know that probably then this is a good state that I can do vidarsana, or I can see the world in the correct way, because becoming into samadhi mind itself is a prerequisite to see the world in the correct nature, in the correct nature of uh, the world, right? So if someone can just judge by that, if someone is meditating, probably it's if when you're meditating, if you start feeling your mind is not going wayward, your mind is not going to other thoughts, your mind is converging into one kusal chitta. Like for example, if you are doing a karma sthana, or maybe you are, for example, think that you think about you maybe you are doing vidarsana, or maybe you are thinking about the concept of paticcasamuppada or something like that, right? So when you're thinking about that, if your mind is converging into that chitta, into this nekam, into that chitta of kusal, you know that your mind is converging into it, and your mind is starting to slowly be only there. The other thoughts is the thoughts of your family, thoughts of your job or whatever, they becomes less prominent. They becomes very insignificant. Then your mind becomes very consistent in that particular point, kusal point, kusal chitta, and maybe you can further affirmate it through the preeti or the passaddi or the upeka you feel. Then you know that at least maybe it might not be 100% or 80%, right? At least you are in some samadhi, right? But if you are in some samadhi, that is good, right? So to that percentage you can open your prajna. To that percentage you can open your vision to see the world in the correct way. So to that person you will see vidya. To that person you will see, you will even be eligible to get vimukti to that percentage. So that better your samadhi, your process becomes easier, so that someone can understand when you're sitting, when your mind is getting converged to one kusal chitta and becoming preeti and sukha, and this probably most of you have experienced some kind of this kind of experience. If not, that's also okay. Start doing whatever the predecessor things, and then you will definitely yield, because in world there is nothing away from cause and effect, right? If you don't have samadhi, that means you don't have the causes to have that effect. That means if you have causes, no one can stop you getting samadhi, because there's nothing beyond hetupala. There's nothing beyond cause and effect. If you have samadhi, that's because of a cause. If you don't have samadhi, which means that you can have that effect through a cause, so that you start building causes. So those causes that I'm starting mentioning, so through the process that I was mentioning through Chetana Karani Sutta, I was mentioning from Sila to non-regret nature to Pramodaya to Preeti to Passaddi to Sukha, the Samadhi is been obtained. So these are the causes which would yield in Samadhi. So if someone has problem in achieving the Samadhi or to come to this Samadhi, it can be Shana, it can be Upachara, it can be Arpana. So to whatever the Samadhi, you know that in Buddha Deshana or any of these processes explained in Buddha, by Lord Buddha, the Samadhi is a core most word, right? In Arashtanga Marga it's there, in Bojjhanga Dharma it's there. Wherever the sutta you see, you will see Samadhi fixing into at some point of your process. So you know that Samma Samadhi achieving is mandatory. I hope that you have some idea about the Samadhi nature of your mind, the Samma Samadhi nature of my mind, and you start building the courses. So I mentioned one process through this Shila Pratipada, and there are several other angles to it, angles to the courses that you need to build, like the Indriya Bhavana, the Indriya Sangvara, to Shraddha through coming from the understanding. So likewise, there are a few others also. We can maybe explain more in others, but everywhere this Preeti, Somanasa, the Passaddi, Sukha, these things are there. So when you come to that kind of a state of your mind, you come to Samadhi. So I will just go beyond through this. So in this sutta, so this is the second part of the today's discussion. When you have a Samadhi mind, it opens up your prajna eye. It opens up your prajna eye, so that you start seeing the world in much more greater sense, right? You see the world in the correct sense. If you saw it in a blue kind of a glass, it's like you removing the blue color. It's like if someone is blind, it's like giving a eye, giving a pair of glasses to see the world. It's like your vision becomes very clear about the world. So when you become to the Samadhi, you need to do Vidarsana. So you need to do, in the sense you will definitely see it in Vidarsana eye. Your prajna eye will open. It's like in that Samadhi, if you think about your loved ones, if you think about your job, if you think about any cling that you have, you think about any concept you know in the world, you will start seeing it in the prajna eye, so that your vision would definitely be helping your process. It's just that you need to open your eye and start looking into your mind. Start looking into your mind, deep inside your mind. Then you start seeing, oh, this is what my mind is. Oh, this is how I've been trapped in this sansara. So this is how I've been deceived. So you can see it through the samadhi eye. So it has been said in the sutta, when you have samadhi, then the early stage vidarsana is a pala. You don't have to do anything particular to do that, but early stage of vidarsana is a pala, and then the deep sense of vidarsana is the next pala, and then the marga, arihat marga is the next pala, and then arihat pala and pala jnana is the ultimate pala, or the vidya or the vimukti. That is called the arihat pala. It's like it's been said in this sutta also. Samadhi chitta is one of the core part in this process. And when you have the samadhi chitta, and when you be in that samadhi chitta, seeing at your mind, that is called vidarsana. Then you start slowly breaking down your problems. You start slowly breaking down your graspings and your cravings and whatever your avidya. You see it through. You see it transparently. Then you have a decision point. If you have samadhi, samma samadhi, if you have developed the prajna eye through samma samadhi, and you are seeing the world as it is, then the decision is automatically to get away from that, to leave that, to let go. And if you see through that samma samadhi eye or the prajna eye, then definitely your graspings or the cravings or the avidya or the valuations that you have given through the bhava would slowly get rinsed, slowly get decayed, slowly get detached, slowly you get free, slowly you get into the marga, slowly you get away from the becoming, slowly you get away from jati, slowly you release the creation process of dukkha, and slowly you probably will soon attain the state of blissful nibbana. So that is the beauty of samma samadhi. It's really hard. You may spend eons and eons to do the pratipada or the process or the things that you need to build to get into this human birth, to get into this trihetuka bhava, and to do all the dana sila bhavana and paramita and punya kriya, and to come to this particular noble, rare, blissful samma samadhi chitta. When you come to that samma samadhi chitta, to that proportionate, you will open your prajna eye and you will see the world as it is. And then it's just that you don't have to do anything. It's just that you see the world. And when you see the real nature of this world, when you see the real nature of these relationships, when you see the real nature of the graspings, the cravings, the avidya, the deceiving, the ignorance, you see all these things in the correct way. When you see all this in the exact way as it is, you will never grab it. You will never keep it for yourself. You will never expect. You will never try to make a becoming. You will never create jati. You will never have a bhava. So you will never have dukkha anymore. So it's that important. I'm not sure whether this was very too much, or I don't know whether this was not clear. I think the best way, because the best way to obtain dhamma is to clarify at that point, because one is that rare and that important. The other is that it is really hard to convert into words itself anyway, and to do it in a language like English, at least for me, it's a little bit harder. So I think maybe the message might not be very clear, but at least if you can get a feeling that samadhi is very core that I need to explore either in this call, either after this, either reading sutta, either learning through more insightful desana, or either by practicing. I think that message, if we can get it through this call, or if you can clarify anything that was not clear today, I think that would definitely help you in the path. I think important that most of our previous calls, I think this understanding is very, very important to have the samadhi and the process of samadhi and to have that. So if there's anything which is not clear, I'll try to understand, answer if you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Usit, I might have a few.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, guys.
Okay. Okay. Hi. Yeah. So I want to ask a question. Okay. So I had a few experiences in the past week.
Okay.
The first experience I can relate to where that Preeti Sukha, that blissful state was there. But it happened when I was listening to a Deshana. And whilst it was going on, whilst I reached this state, I got into Vidarshana, and I probably had few of the most like deepest insights that I've ever experienced before in this state. And this state probably lasted for like a full day. And the very next day, I again experienced something of this nature again because I was doing like a walking meditation. And also I was listening to Deshana as well, but this time it didn't have that physically blissful type of feeling in particular, but it was more of like you said, the mind felt soft and like melted. So likewise, it continued for like 3 to 4 days. But my question is again, it may be irrelevant. Is if you are in such a state for a long period of time, can it have a toll on your physical body? Because ever since it happened, my physical body has been a little bit tired. And if so, how can you fuel and sustain such a state, or how can you tap into energy so that you can sustain it for longer, so you can do your Vidarshana deeper?
You mean your body is not really supporting it? Like maybe your body get tired through that kind of a state, right?
Not while being in the state. While being in the state, there is correct. I feel like I felt like I needed to sleep a lot afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Probably I might not be able to give you a very comprehensive answer to this because I think because anyway this body is created through avidya, right? So body like we build this body through avidya. So each and every cell, each and every rupa kalapa is a result of avidya, right? So probably when you start feeling vidya and start feeling this energy, that might not match. I'm not the full expert to maybe someone like Vimutta Therani would be able to explain this in much a deeper way. But maybe from what I know is that because your body is avidya, totally avidya, result of an avidya, right? So probably it can at least at the initial stage, because I don't have this experience because it was not maybe if it was really gradual you might not feel this, because if it was very instantaneous, like in a short period you see this, probably that might be a result.
That's kind of what happened, because I went from never having experienced it to experiencing it for like 3-4 days straight. And again when I go into the part where I get tired, my mind, like the focused awakened nature of the clarity is very much there. It's just physically, like you said.
To sustain it, I think so. I think there's nothing much. If you need to have the rest, maybe you can just have that as it is demanding. But you just need to understand how this state was achieved, right? That is the most important thing. Other than all the physical things and everything, what yielded in this samadhi chitta? what was
Yeah.
the thought? Because, like as you said, maybe the preeti or the sukha is not mandatory. Like, because if you don't cling in that cling in that sukha nature or the preeti nature, you might not notice it. Maybe it would pass just like a whisper. Because it's not.
That's yeah. So
Yeah,
that's also what happened. That's also what happened. The first 2 days, it was very much there, the Preeti nature, then the Sukha nature. Then that also kind of melted away, and I could only notice the softness of the mind from
yeah.
that point on. Yeah,
Yes, if
yeah.
you take the jhana also, uh, if you take the third jhana and fourth jhana, you don't actually uh, feel any preeti or sukha because you've given away, because you don't
Mm,
have a valuation there also, right? Like it's said that
mm,
upeka ekagrata sahita fourth jhana. So upeka
yeah.
ekagrata, you have just the upeka, the neutral nature of your mind in a constant way throughout the time. So that's what you have. That samadhi is more stronger. That samadhi is
Mm,
more powerful to have vidarsana, right, than the previous one. Because the preeti can also be disturbing. It's definitely helpful versus the normal mind, but it is
mm.
helpful. But if you let go from that also, if you get to the chaturtha jhana or the upeka ekagrata nature of a samadhi, that opens up a very clear state of mind to see world. A very lighter version of your, probably the lightest version of your mind.
So what I experienced during that, when the Preeti Sukha part also kind of melted away, what I experienced was with the Vidarsana, it became more effortless in the sense,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and how and just to remember how my experiences states first through listening to Dhamma, and then
mm,
the states changed as I went into Vidarsana and had certain insights. Then
mm.
that changed. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah, yeah. There are two, like actually three. Actually, there are four. Like four ways to come to this. Like in Pala Chitta, before the Pala Chitta, it is
mm,
said that either it should start from Samatha and like it's like Vidarsana yielded through Samatha is one way. Samatha yielded through Vidarsana is the second way. Both coming together is the third way, right? So there are these three ways. The fourth way, I think it's kind of a complicated way, which I also can't really explain the fourth way. But the first three ways is that you start from Samatha and you build Vidarsana up to that point. So that there your Samatha and Vidarsana goes very hand in hand. So that where your mind becomes to a state, you can go there. But it can also come, like you said, it can also come through listening to Dhamma and then Vidarsana and then starting from Vidarsana to Samatha. But when you need to get a deep realization of a Palachitta, then it should come uh, uh, through both, right? Your mind should
mm.
also have the Samatha, and meanwhile, you should, in a Samatha Chitta, you should do the Vidarsana. Either it should
Can I
start from
ask a
Vidarsana. Yeah.
yeah? Can I just because I joined the call only 20 minutes late? Can you just repeat? This may be a dumb question, but can you tell me what Samatha is again?
Yeah, samatha is like in Arya, in the noble way of doing it. Samatha is like when you see the Aswada, Adinava, Nisarana, and
Mm.
then you see
Okay.
the real nature of world, and you
Mm.
it has been said. It's really nicely said in one sutta. I'll try to refer that in that sutta. Maybe you can refer later if you would like to read. In that sutta, it is said that samatha. Uh, is like when you see aswada adina nisarana correctly, right?
Mm.
And then you get away from that, right?
Yeah.
You get away from that, and you have the liking, you had the hate, and you have liking hate toward together. So you get away from that. This is called like kind of a upeka state, right? So through any meditation way, you become to a uh, steady state. It's like your mind. If your mind is a pond, it becomes very
But
clear
doesn't it come
nature.
through? But doesn't that state come through Vidarsana itself?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it
Yeah.
said, right? It,
Mm.
it can either come from samatha through vidarsana you can go, but vidarsana through vidarsana to samatha also you can come. Because what you are experiencing is coming through vidarsana to samatha. So that's because you are speaking that because your experience is starting through vidarsana. So that is based on your sansaric nature, that how you have practiced. Some people start from vidarsana, and vidarsana is itself the karmasthana for that person. So that becomes a karmasthana, and that can samatha your mind, that can settle your mind, that can come to a samadhi state through vidarsana. So that's how your mind works. But some person, that person can start through samatha, like maybe samatha bhavana, like anapanasati or buddhanusati or whatever karmasthana. They will start through that, and they'll come to samatha, and then they start vidarsana. So what they do is they samatha your mind, and then they start vidarsana. So then they up the first bit, then up the second bit, then they come to samatha and vidarsana yugana together part, and then you can vidarsana, and then you can get to a pala. The other way, what you mentioned is that you start contemplating vidarsana start, and then your mind, like the other things get away, right? If your mind is very strong and sharp for the vidarsana, that itself would yield samatha. So that is called vidarsana purvangama samatha. Vidarsana would start and samatha would go there. So that person also would need to up the both pillars. Then you can do the pala. It's like that. So there are four ways actually. So you explain one. So the second way is that other one. There are two other ways. One is there is a way that both would come together. Like Yuganadha, it said that. And the fourth one is, I think, it's through Anya Samadhi, I think, but that I actually don't have experience, and neither I don't really able to explain it technically.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any questions? Yeah, a small question I have is, I think it was clear also, but then it's also said that there's a reason it's Samma Samadhi and not Samma Jhana in the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah, like we can't always say that jhana itself is compulsory. Is that statement right?
Yeah, maybe if you take in the meaning in the current world, maybe you can say that definitely the Arya jhanas would definitely help to obtain samadhi, right? To Samma Samadhi. Yes. But there could be some person who can't obtain jhanas, but still yet through samadhi, that person would, because like there are examples, right? I'm sure definitely the Mahasariputta Thero would have samadhis and dhyanas and both everything. But Sariputta Thero in Diganaka Sutta, it is said that Sariputta Thero got to Arihat Pala while listening through a Deshana. If you take Daruchirya Maharahat Thero, Unhanse got to the pala while listening. Probably not maybe going into a jhana state, but if you take as a process, like a path, Arya jhana, it can definitely yield. But if someone can't obtain Arpana Samadhi or Upachara Samadhi, that doesn't mean that that person can't understand anything. There could be one instantaneous moment where there could be a Shana Samadhi, and you understand the truth. It's just that you need to add. So all these jhanas and everything is there to obtain the Samma Samadhi state, right? So this is Samma Samadhi. When you get into either of these Samadhi state, that Samadhi state can open you the world in that stage. So if you like, maybe if someone can argue that in that Shana Samadhi also you get into a Dhyana state or a Arya Jhana state. Maybe if that person what do you call describes jhana as that, then that is correct. Maybe at Shan Samadhi also you will have that kind of a jhana state, but it's just that it's not that the sitting meditation you have this Priti Sukha and all these jhana lakshana, the jhana characteristics that being said. I think if you don't get it, if you don't experience it, doesn't mean that you can't. It's related to the previous question also. What you said, Usita. You said that if someone, whether that person can realize whether that person have a samadhi or not. Maybe in a shana samadhi, that person might not try. So if you really take it, it's not mandatory to have these jhanas like the fourth jhana. You'll be able to go to fourth jhana, to arupa jhana, all the stuff. But if you can attain the samadhi state of mind, you can attain the state of nibbana. So that is the technical explanation, but anyone can give any name to that. Someone can say that all this is all called jhana also, all this is called samadhi also, or whatever other word also. But the technical aspect of this is that if that person describes or explains jhana as that, then that is correct. It's just that you need to attain that samadhi. But if you think that the sitting jhana and all the first jhana, second jhana, all those things are mandatory, it's not. It's just that you need to achieve samadhi. Samadhi, and then that samadhi can yield you to prajna.
Does anyone else have any questions? If you're not comfortable talking, you can always post it in the chit chat chat section. Does Chi? I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Do you have a question?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that working? No? No.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello. Sorry, I'm new to all these Pali words. What's the difference between jhana and samadhi? Because before this talk, I thought they were both sort of just concentration.
Yeah. So that's why I said like maybe the Arya jhanas and samadhi, someone can explain it as same. But in jhanas, because these jhanas are not directly started. It started even before that, right? If even this path was revealed by Lord Buddha, it was there, right? These jhanas, there are two ways of jhanas, right? That is, one is Arya jhana, what is Anarya jhana. Like it's like through looking at a color or through looking at so there are different ways to achieve this jhana, because like non-Buddhists, like kind of other practitioners also would have their own ways to achieve these jhanas, right? So these jhanas can yield up to the arupa level, the mind level of the realms, so that they can achieve that. But sorry.
Yeah, the formless realms and the form realms, the fine jhanas. Yeah.
Yes. So these jhanas are something that anyone could attain, right? This samadhi is like the samma samadhi that we are mentioning is coming through the understanding and letting go. Then you achieve the samma samadhi. So this samadhi can also be coming without jhanas. But if you really take that. If these jhanas, if someone explains that jhana is the constant state of mind like samadhi, that is correct. But the explanation given in the society is that jhana is something different. It's like I'm not sure, because like we are from different parts of world. This can differ, right? Maybe you might be having having a different understanding, but it's like jhana is some practice of the mind which is being practiced throughout the other ways. But samma samadhi is something that is being taught to understand about nibbana and have a constant state of mind of nibbana to yield the results of that. So,
Okay, which says the difference is that one is leading a specific way towards Nibbana, whereas the other ones not necessarily going.
Yeah, probably. But in this jhana also, there are two categories. One can be Arya jhana. So that jhana part is towards Nibbana, but there can be the other jhanas which are not going through Nibbana. And there are these characteristics of jhana, right? It's been explained about the blissfulness, the sukha, and all the other things. So that might not be very prominent in a samadhi, because that is also can be explained as jhana. But in samadhi, it's the consistent nature of kusal chitta being throughout a time. But maybe in jhana, they explain that in jhana, the jhana characteristics should be prominent. The preeti nature of your mind, the sukha nature of your mind, the those things should be prominent. It's been said in the jhana teachings. But samadhi state can also have that. But samadhi state would be the consistent kusal chitta happening through a time. Not sure whether that was answering your question, Chi.
Yes, I've got another question. So, for somebody to practice vipassana, then I think you said reach a dasana state. Is that what you said? I mean, how does that work?
Sorry?
Because I always hear people practicing samatha then vipassana. How does it work if someone is to do it the other way around?
To start from vipassana to come samatha, right?
Yeah. So to reach a sort of samadhi and samatha.
Just to add to this, in case like we have done a series of talks on there's one talks in discussion archives which is about Arya meditation, which is basically touching this vipassana aspect. In Sinhala we also call it as vidarshana, so it's both the same thing, vipassana, vidarshana. But I think it'll be useful if you can go through that talk itself. Because I feel like that is also a broad topic and it's difficult to explain within a few minutes.
Yeah, that's correct, Kursita, but let me just give a short answer to that. So to practice, I think most common way to do samatha and do samatha and give me 1 minute. So sorry.
So did you ask
Let
the
me.
question? Oh.
Sorry, Chi.
So I'm practicing the Mahasi Vipassana sort of meditation.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't really know which one's the
So,
right one.
no. So
That was
yeah.
sort of controversy about you need this jhana and that jhana before you sort of see clear.
Yeah, I see your voice was breaking for me for some reason. Hello?
Yeah. Even I don't hear.
Yeah, but let me answer that question.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. So the samatha, starting from samatha to go to vidarsana is the common way practiced, right? Because that's a way that easy being taught, right? It's easy to to become samatha and then to vidarsana. But to vidarsana to samatha is something might not be very common, but people who have practiced vidarsana in past sansara might be able to do this. Because for that person, if you start sitting and start vidarsana or vipassana, it's like you start dividing your mind and you start looking deep into that, right? For some people, this gives samatha because this is the most attractive thing for the mind, most exciting thing to the mind to do. Because so some people, you can also try, right? So you can try. Maybe you start vidarsana without doing samatha. Maybe just try to contemplate something, a thought or a experience or something. Then you start doing that. You find that your mind would converge into that vidarsana itself, and the other thoughts would not come to you. So if you start from vidarsana, then through that vidarsana concept itself, by contemplating itself, your mind would come to a steady state. So that is called starting from vidarsana, but that is a little bit hard to teach, right? I mean, because everyone can't do that, because that person needs to have the prajna, or not the prajna, maybe the practice or the sharpness of your mind, the practice of your mind to directly vidarsana. Because for most people, to sit and close your eyes, different thoughts would come, right? Your mind would diverge, your mind would go here and there, wherever. So for that person, if you ask to do vidarsana, that's difficult. That person will say that this cannot be done. This is impossible. My mind is full with thoughts. For that person, probably you can't tell that. Then the advisable way is that you first do samatha and then vidarsana. But there is certain subgroup of people who can directly do vidarsana, and sometimes they can't do samatha, because if they start doing anapanasati, because there are some, I know personal examples like that, who fail to do samatha, because if they start doing breathing meditation or the love and kind meditation, so their mind still doesn't get in that sharper samatha through that samatha nimitta, or the samatha starting point. But for them to start vidarsana would definitely yield samatha, because the most applicable or most compelling thing for that mind, for that person, is vidarsana, than the breath, than the love and kind meditation, or than the karmasthana, the other karmasthana. So there can be, if someone can't do samatha, if someone is starting to practice samatha, but that person can't do samatha, maybe he or she can try out vidarsana at itself, because that can some people, that can be the most effective way. Maybe if that person can try that way, just start vidarsana by sitting, maybe that person can get sharper through that and then have samatha. So it's really can't be taught a lot, but that's something coming through the courses that we have done through Sansara. And maybe if you have a very sharp understanding about the Dhamma concepts, or sharp understanding about if your mind gets very enlightened when you hear Dhamma, and your mind is very sharp to grab them quickly, probably that kind of person might be able to do that. So it's up to the person to try out all these things and find out the best way for that person.
All right,
Was
thank
that
you.
clear?
That makes sense.
Okay.
I have another question. Can I quickly ask?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now what you said about this last explanation about going from Vidarsana to Samatha, I really resonated with it, because whenever I try to do the Samatha itself, or going into breathing meditation or whatever, it never ever really worked for me. So if this other way works for me, does it mean I still should practice the first way, or should I just go with what works for me?
Definitely, I think you should go with what works for you, right? Because
Okay.
the ultimate requirement to come is that you have to have samatha and vidarsana yuganadhava in a state, in a equal state, right? So what is the easiest way to do that? Because like you don't know how long you have, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
if you really think about the Maranarosati and all, it's best that understand, because there are 84,000 ways of going, like people understanding this, right? And if you see about Sutta also, I said like there are 4 ways. Like in that Sutta, it is said that if someone says that that person have obtained Arihat Pala, Lord Buddha says that that person would have come through either of these 4 routes. So that's how he says. So probably that means that there are 4 routes, right? So the best route for you, because this is not only this bhava, right? These things are not practiced only in this bhava. You might have practiced this throughout thousands and 10,000s of bhava. So that all these 10,000 you have practiced so that you have mastered it, right? So that's when that pops up. So I think that you can use of that if you use the way that works for you. There's no mandatory way that this is better or that is better. The way that works for you is the best way.
Okay. Thank you.
Guy, just to add to that, but you have practiced different kinds of meditation in the past, yeah? Like
Yeah,
before you
for,
came
for
across.
sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely, but I struggled with those, is what I'm saying. I really struggled with those. So before this, I think I told you that I was doing this whole meditation thing with this other spiritual teacher, and with her I got a bit of practice to stay in one spot for long. But even that, the only time I did come to a space of samatha, it was in that group. I would unknowingly, with in my mind, start vidarshanaying. And through that, I would come to a state of peace. No matter what I did, it was very tough for me to sit down and do it like that.
Okay.
Yeah, one can feel that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
how your mind works. Like it's like what song you like, right? Like some songs you don't. If you don't like rock music, it's like you know that where your mind, if you keep it in a free flow, where your mind would get settled, right? It's like that.
Yeah, because I
You
would
just-
constantly get frustrated the other way around because it really it didn't sit well with me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when like if some like teacher or a path says that this is the only way, you should be very careful saying that, because there are different people who would have coming through different ways. You can't like really like frame like that, because so that's most important thing is that you just need to understand whether what method you can burn out raga, dvesha, moha. That like the measure you have to think. So if that happens, the method is not really important.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Do you think that we should skip the meditation today, or like what do you think? Maybe we spend a little bit more time. Maybe we can go for one more question. Maybe that would be better. I think, right? Like that can be exhausting if we do a meditation.
Go for a meditation now. Yeah.
I don't know.
Are there any other questions open? Anyone has any other questions? If
there's
none,
one more other thing that I want to mention. Probably I mentioned it about this Samatha and Vidarsana Yuganadha coming, and it's really important to notice that after getting the Samadhi, then it's like when you have to come into that platform and when you start seeing it, in some practices I've seen that it's like you stuck in these jhanas or stuck in these samadhis, right? So it's like you have the glasses to see, and you stay in front of a white wall. You don't see the world. You see just the wall. So to have a pair of glass, the purpose is what? Purpose is important. Purpose is to eliminate dukkha, or to see the real, maybe to see the real mechanism of how world works. So that is the purpose here, right? So if you achieve samadhi or achieve dhyana, but if you don't see the world, or to start contemplating or start vidarsana or to start understanding or just to open your eyes at least, the jhana or the samadhi is of no use if you don't do that. Some people come to this samadhi and then they stay at priti, stay at sukha, stay at upekha, stay at the light beams that they see, or maybe be in that state, and that can only result in a brahmatana, right? So it's important you come there and understand that is also paticca samuppanna, that is also sankata, is made of course, right? It's like that. It can be diminished through going off the course. So you don't stay there or stuck there, get hung there. You come to that point and understand the purpose. Why are you doing this? If you forget the purpose, if you forget the core thing that you are doing to eliminate dukkha, because this should definitely come through understanding, right? If someone don't understand the Dhamma and the core principles of Dhamma, maybe that person can attain jhana through some other way, but doesn't mean that you can really directly have the Arya jhana, or that person can contemplate, because the Samma Ditti is a predecessor, right? Like it's important. So that when that Samma Ditti is there, you should know that you should this jhana or samadhi should be done by a person who is wanting to eliminate suffering, eliminate the process of bhava, eliminate the process of creation of dukkha. So that if you have that as your topmost priority, then I think this should not be an issue. But we should just rethink again whether we are finding a nirvana which someone has taught that this is good, or whether we are doing it to eliminate the dukkha which I really saw in this world. So if you have this clarity, then I think that person would not get stuck in jhanas or the samadhis. So it's really important that through samadhi, the use is to do vidarsana and to eliminate dukkha. So I think this part I just mentioned because I've seen some people who get stuck for long period in this jhanas.
Thank you. I think that last point was actually very important, and really seeing the intention of why we are doing this in the first place. I feel like it's easy to get lost. Like even with me, it's easy to get lost, and depending on our characteristics and depending on where we think there is pleasure, we can get lost in different things, even while we are on the path and unknowingly, and we don't even know we are like lost on it. Yeah.
Because if you are a smart, intelligent person, you start learning maybe I don't know, physics or quantum physics or something like that. Then you think that okay, I'm learning the most difficult, most difficult and complex thing in the world. Then you learn about this Dhamma and how the world works, how the mind works, how the Abdharma works, and everything. Then you want to learn this and to attain these jhanas, to attain these samadhis, to attain nirvana, because it is much more superior than the quantum physics or understanding that. So if you do that, you will stop somewhere, right? Because you want to be a some person who want to understand everything, like how the world works. That is your core thing. Then there you get stuck, because after that you can't go, because you are going behind something. So likewise, there can be traps, because it's really important to see back what you are doing, why you are doing, what is mind expecting, what is the understanding, whether this is aligning to the four noble truths. Likewise, just have a pulse check, because mind is so strange. Mind can trick anytime, because it is practiced like that for years.
Yep. Okay then. No, we'll skip the meditation for today then, or should we do 15 minutes or skip it all together?
I would have loved if there was a vote button. Maybe, yeah. If there would have been vote button, I think that would have been superb in this app. Vote, I mean.
Yeah.
So, well, that's fine. I think we've discussed about 1.5 hours. Probably.
If you can end with like a chanting, Ayya.
Yeah, maybe I'll just do a 10-minute one. So we'll do a 10-minute one. If someone is feeling tired, maybe that he or she can go out. But let's do a very short one.
Okay.
Close your eyes and stay in a comfortable way. Take a deep breath, holding it and hold out. Another deep breath. Hold it and let it out. Take another deep breath. Out. Listening to the noises of the world. Noises of the creation. Noises of what is being created. Feel the body through the breath. Through the sound. Through the touch. The body which is created through avidya. Each and every rupa in this body is created through avidya. Each and every noise I hear is created through avidya. Avidya creates craving. Craving creates bhava. Bhava creates dukkha. The cycle. The same cycle. The world is creating through the sound. I created. They are still creating. I see. They don't see. I strived to learn the way the world works. And I am here now listening to this. Not creating that sound, but thinking how not to create sound. My mind is clear. because I made it clear. My clear mind sees the world. And in this moment, I see my mind. Passing one by one. My samadhi gives the wisdom for me to decide whether to touch or to let go, or to let go the process of letting go. To just see. To see how the world is created. Through all these noises, if I want, if I see, if I understand, I can let go. Even the process of letting go. Because I see how the becoming happens. To solve this, I have options, but neither of them worked. Until I hang the string of the pet in my hand, it will hurt me. May I see this process through my samadhi eye. And let it go. May all living beings see this and have samadhi, have wisdom, and have courage to let it go. May the refuge I see through letting go, the words of Buddha, words of Dhamma, the words taught through the Arya Sangha, may that blessings, the teachings, spread to all the world beings. May I understand the only way of create this process of dukkha. May this recital go deep into my mind to see, to understand, and to let go in this moment. Natti me saranang anyang buddho me saranang varang Natti me saranang anyang Dhammo me saranang varang Natti me saranang anyang Sangho me saranang varang Natti me saranang anyang Nibbānang paramang sukhang Natti me saranang anyang Nibbānang paramang sukhang Natti me saranang anyang Nibbānang paramang sukhang